Hi, my name is Rich. I use the he, him pronouns. You're watching my YouTube channel where I play amazing tabletop role-playing games with friends. This is the second of two sessions of Don't Rest Your Saber, a reskin of Don't Rest Your Head, one of my favorite older indie games that really got me into the tabletop role-playing games hobby of playing stuff other than D&D. Don't Rest Your Head is a game about insomniacs who have been awake for so long that they realize they have superpowers. And this is a game about Jedi who run around and do really strenuous, fraught missions and have to deal with the emotional fallout of that. So instead of dealing with exhaustion, these Jedi are dealing with attachments to the world, the universe, things, people, places. And instead of being able to draw upon madness, as you would in Don't Rest Your Head, the players choose that their Jedi could draw upon the power of the dark side to aid in the dice that they roll to try to succeed. And I, as a GM, this is going to sound really weird because me as a GM, for anybody who watches this channel, I roll dice in this game. But luckily, I don't have a whole bunch of stats. I just have pain. That's it. It's all pain. When you're going against me, I roll pain. You roll your dice. We look for 1s, 2s, or 3s for successes to determine success or failure in the act. And then we do some other stuff around what dominates, which we'll walk through when we get there. In our last session, this is a two-shot. In our last session, the pair of Jedi and Padawan, a knight and Padawan, have been sent from the brand new, as in less than a yearish old, rediscovered temple on Rhodia. So the master of that temple, a guy by the name of Nova Kalos, had sent one of his very first graduated students, Merida along with her Padawan, Telrat, to Tatooine. And you travel to Tatooine on the temple's lone ship, the Silver Dart, and you notified ahead of time the old pupil who had dropped out, Hela Jassard, and then everything went pear-shaped as you were attacked. The ship was shot down. Unfortunately, Grom Rabor, the pilot, passed away, and you guys went into hiding in the streets of Mos Espa, not Mos Eisley, because that place is a home of scum and villainy. Who wants to go there? You're in Mos Espa. Totally much safer. You hid in the barrens of Mos Espa. Your presence was kept secret by a small family of Twi'lek slaves, ex-slaves. Hard to tell. They definitely look like they weren't having the best life. You escaped from there to speak to a merchant, the daughter of Griggs, someone that Telrat knew rather well, Thelu, who is a moss spice merchant who uses moisture from the moisture farms in order to grow these specific moss spices. Then a stormtrooper gang showed up. That's right, no Empire, but stormtroopers are still around, evidently. They showed up in their APC in their grimy uniforms and armor, and then they were taken care of. So we'll be picking up there, but let's do a quick reminder of safety tools and introduction of characters. We have lines against sexual assault, sexual violence, and sexual coercion. We have a veil on harm to animals. We have ask first on harm to children, sexual content, consensual sexual content, and ask first on slavery. We also have the X card, which hopefully both of you guys know, but it's a trump in a good way that you say, hey, I need the X card, particular piece of content. I'll check in to make sure I understand what it is that's being X carded, and then we excise it from our play. No harm, no foul. Your safety, your ability to have fun is way more important than any like cannon in our made up fancy lightsaber laser sword world, so don't worry about it. With that out of the way, Stephen, introduce yourself, remind us of your character.
So today I am playing, I'm Stephen. I use the he, him pronouns. And today I'm playing the Padawan Telrat. Tel is a Tusken, and he is apprenticed to Jedi Master Tol. and he's familiar with the planet of Tatooine. This is his home planet, and so he has a few contacts here, but it seems that they are, at least his most recent contact here in Mos Espa, is out of touch. It's been a few years, so things have changed a little bit.
Cool. Thank you very much, Stephen. And now, David.
Hi, I am David, he, him pronouns, and I am playing Merida Toll, a recently graduated Jedi Knight who's also taken on duties as a master with her very first Padawan, Telrat. And she is a human from Corellia, and she feels that this is a really big role to fill as the new Jedi Order is expanding into the galaxy. And she has personal connections to Hela, rival and lover when they were in the academy together. And things haven't been going the best on this first mission. Her Padawan was injured during, I believe it was during the crash, right? Yeah. And like you said, we took resident hiding with some Twi'lek slaves, and Merida healed Tell, healed him up, and then we went on, and then Merida decided that enough was enough with the Stormtrooper gang and dispatched them with Jedi justice.
Viciously dispatched them. Yeah.
Effectively.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which mechanically was dark side dominated the role that you had made. Yep. You need to check off the response of anger, and you did a deliciously wonderful job of describing exactly how much you took your anger out on those stormtroopers. So we have ended kind of cliffhangered right there with Merida finishing off those stormtroopers. And Telrot, I think that you had, if I remember correctly, kind of chased after Thelu briefly. So we'll pick up with you and Thelu coming back to see Merida performing a finishing blow of some kind on one of the last stormtroopers. So Telrot, Thelu just gasps with shock and horror at what she has seen. What do you do?
I think that, I kind of stumble out a little bit from the edge of where the buildings are, where the little displays, the little, not carts, but where everybody's has their wares. I think I stumble out from there and I look around and I'm like a little bit, you can't see it very much through the face wrappings, but I'm a little bit taken aback. And then I think I walk over where Merida still has, her lightsaber blade ignited, and kind of rest a hand on her back and to get her attention. And Thelu is probably, stunned and walking around through the different, body parts and everything. Master.
So yeah, the combination of Tell's touch and voice, she turns off the lightsaber and she looks around. She says, "Tell, are you and your contact safe?"
We seem to be safe now, although I expect a lot more trouble to be coming our way now, as I look pointedly towards the stormtroopers that have fallen.
Yeah, so like Merida's kind of like, her eyes widen a bit, and then she's like, "Let's move." And I think the idea is to get off the streets, to get into hiding again effectively, and to figure out how we can track down Hela and her master.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. I don't think you guys at this point, you've dispatched any of the forces that are immediately arrayed against you. So I don't think that I'm going to ask for a roll for you to effectively hide out.
Mhm.
You're in the area of the bazaar. I'm imagining that during this big fight with the stormtroopers that, Thalu's and Griggs's place is amid a bunch of other small thatch work shops and displays and little kiosks and the like. So you can lose yourselves among the many folks that had just kind of hidden out and vacated the streets when the stormtroopers showed up. But people start to filter back on. They've been under Imperial control for a few decades, so they know when to hide out and when to come back. So you can lose yourselves in the crowd. But yeah, I'm curious how it is that you want to try to find Hela at the very least, if not also to find this other person that you saw when you reached through the Force looking for Hela, Merida. What do you want to do?
So knowing Hela as well as, or at least I think as well as I used to, maybe that'll help lead us to find someone who she's had to deal with here, like a fence or supplier of some kind that might have word of where her current base of operations is, or a confirmation. And I believe, if I remember correctly, was it Tell? Did you confirm that that seemed like Jabba the Hutt's place or something like that when I shared what I saw in my vision?
If I recall correctly, it wasn't clear where it was, and I think that's
Okay.
what made us search out Thalu.
Okay. So
Um,
maybe Thalu can give us some more insights into where they might be.
Cool. So we pick up with the three of you. Taylor will kind of stick around, even though she's very nervous, but seems like things have settled there. She's trusting you, Tell, but you have a strong feeling that Thalu believes that you are in disguise as a Tusken Raider, right? She mentioned that when you first came in. Said, "Friend, that's not the best disguise to have here," but she's just buying into that and telling herself that, yeah, this is just a regular person who is disguised as a Tusken Raider. So she seems a little comfortable around you. You ask about Hela, describe her, and she says, "Oh, yes, there is one named Maloris. They have taken over the areas that Jabba the Hutt once held, his palace, which is not far from here. This Hela, I've seen a woman who sounds like her with Maloris. I don't recommend that you go there, friends. It's very dangerous."
dangerous how? Do they have a large, force like Jabba the Hutt did of mercenaries?
I'm sorry, I couldn't catch the first half of what you said.
I'm sorry. Dangerous how? Do they have a large force of mercenaries like Jabba the Hutt did, or?
Maloris does have many who work for him, like those that you've killed. The stormtrooper gangs, no one likes them or trusts them. Could probably get away with what you've done, but there are Weequay, Gamorreans. There are bounty hunters who are always hanging around Jabba's palace, hoping that the empire that the Hutt had built will be restored again.
So I guess Merida's kind of letting Tell really lead the discussion with his contact.
Okay, so I think that. After absorbing a little bit of this, Tell turns back to Thalu and says, "Thank you for your information, and I know that this cost you a great sacrifice, and we will do what we can to make sure that your that you do not sacrifice more. But I do have more to ask of you. Do you know of anyone who works with these people so that we might be able to gain entrance into Jabba's old palace?
Yes, my moss spice is not significant enough for them to care, but Maloris does receive shipments. There's a Toydarian by the name of Watto. He's been around for a very, very long time. He's trusted among people, at least as much as you can trust a Toydarian. He makes shipments of droid parts and mechanical parts as well. He would likely be the person you should speak with. I could make an introduction if you wish.
I think we've asked enough of you, and the less you're connected to us, the better. So I think that we can go on our way, and I suggest that my companion and I will search out this Watto on our own. We thank you for your help, and do the best that you can to stay out of trouble.
Thank you. She seems very, very relaxed when you say that. So, Watto's shop or Wald's Parts is actually here in Mos Espa. So, she'll give you quick directions to get there, and then she will head back to her little shop and hopefully not have to deal with as much fallout as she's worried about from the stormtroopers. So I'm going to drop into our character keeper on the NPCs and places. There's a cool little cutout picture of Watto's shop. I'll drop that on row 14 just so you guys have it. Not that it's a huge deal, but it's fun. It's actually a Lego toy, isn't it? Lego expert Steven?
They have.
Junkyard?
I don't think they have the full junkyard. Watto does have, most of the official Lego tours are based off of pod racing stuff. So, but there's definitely, Watto figures and stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, let's see. Oh, neat. So you guys, are you good with me doing a quick cut scene and you walk into Watto's place?
Yeah, and actually, I recommend that we show up independently of each other, so they don't come in as a pair.
Oh, nice.
And and kind of like separate shoppers who are showing up.
Nice.
So, I guess maybe this is something that we would discuss before going here. Because I don't think my character's as familiar with how others treat Tusken Raiders on Tatooine, unless you've mentioned it or not. So do you find that your character do you disguise that you're a Tusken Raider when you wander around Mos Espa? Or what?
I think that my people have a reputation. It's rare for them to come in from the desert, but they do come in to trade from time to time. I think that it's an intimidating presence.
Mhm.
So with people that don't know me, it would be best if you talked to them, if you dealt with them, because they might just dismiss me and my people as something that can't be that can't really be negotiated with, or there's a certain connotation.
Sure.
And I think that I will also tell you, Toydarians, and I've heard of this Watto. He isn't necessarily to be trusted, more so than normal.
Okay. So what if we had a semi-legitimate business deal to offer him?
Since Watto is dealing with droid parts and other mechanics, it would be best if we could go in with something like that. One option would be to either or purchase. It seems like it would make more sense if we went in with some parts of our own that then we could transport to Jabba's old palace, and that would be a good reason for us to get in.
Okay.
How about, if we had the parts from the ship, we could sell pieces of that. But I'm not sure if it's safe to go back to the ship to salvage pieces.
So what it sounds like to me is that we would be scrounging for some sort of tech to sell to Watto to get into Jabba's palace, or what?
That's what makes the most sense to me.
Okay. Sounds like a risky thing, because we're kind of like rummaging around for some stuff to provide as leverage into our deal here. Does that make sense, Rich? Should we do that?
Say again. I'm sorry, I got lost in the Wikipedia for a second.
No,
I did
that's
not
fine.
realize Watto handed off, according to canon, I don't know, it's probably expanded universe. At some point, Watto handed off the ship to the little Rhodian that you see in the prequels.
Oh, the kid
Yeah.
Rhodian?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Anyway, sorry. It's
No,
like,
that's
really?
fine.
Huh. Okay. Anyway.
So, I think what we're describing, I would assume that there might be a role involved with us doing a montage of scrounging for stuff to sell to get in to to have a real purpose with Watto, to maybe find our way through into Jabba's palace.
So I would actually suggest two things. We could either, if I recall correctly, the stormtroopers pulled up in a troop transport.
Yep.
So we could go grab that and offer it to Watto and say we need to get out of town quick. Or we could go back to our crashed ship and see what we can salvage from there.
I feel like the troop transport would be more interesting in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, we don't have a direct. Well, we kind of have a direct, but our ship is definitely our ship. That might be an issue. But yeah, let's try to do a quick sail on the troop ship.
Hot transport outside. That is fantastic. I really like that. So you guys hop in this APC, follow the directions given to you by Thelu, and end up at Watto's shop, aka Wald's Parts. So
Right.
I think it's one of those where maybe they're in the transition. An older Watto, it's been 30 years since Clone Wars, since Phantom Menace. So an older Watto is in the process, he's the elder statesman of the place, and Wald is in the process of taking it over, Wald being a small squat Rhodian. Although he was a child at the time, so maybe he's full grown. Nevertheless, Watto will come out because see, very good troop care. Oh, this is very nice. Last time I saw a pair of odd-looking creatures come in my shop, it was not very good.
Oh, I think I'm going to come in separately. I think that's something that Mirda suggested.
Yeah,
that's right. You're coming in separately.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's awesome. So, who drives up the APC and who walks in? I guess is maybe a better question for the reaction from Watto.
How about you? If you drive up the APC,
Sure.
and I'll come in later and just bang around.
I'll even have the stormtrooper helmet, and so I come in. Sure, I'm just gonna put it down we have a ship for sale. Boom.
Nice. He looks at that. This is bring a lot of trouble, friend.
Well, from what I heard, whoever took care of this unit, they got rid of some trouble, at least temporarily.
So you're looking to get rid of this for a fair price?
Well, whatever the market can bear.
So I think this is when I'll come in, and I'm going to bang on the side of the shop, and stick my head in and say, Trade for work? Looking for work?
This is, he looks over at the Rhodian, who is currently working on, like, has a scrub, like a metal scouring brush, and is working off a bunch of rust from some kind of pan. And he says, "Yeah, I always need help now. I'm not allowed to use slaves anymore." And he looks at Watt. "Talk to him. I'm making a deal." His little wings are flapping, and the Rhodian will...
And like Merida gives the Tusken Raider a wide berth because of their reputation.
That's wise.
And I think, I think that we see Tell step in, start walking towards the Rhodian, and then see the wide berth, and step into that boundary that you've kind of placed, and say, "How about you? You got a job?" I turn to Watto. "I could be part of this deal."
Merida sort of dismissively says, please move along, sand person."
Good. And I think that I'll step back and go talk to the Rhodian.
Nice. That sells Watto on the you two are not together pretty hard. Like, he buys into that. He doesn't really pay any more mind to you, Telrot, focusing on trying to come up with a good deal with Merida Tell. No, so here's the thing. I imagine you're not looking for credits here, right? So how do you transition from arguing about credits for the sale of this to, hey, I'm interested in some kind of trade?
So I think Merida says that she's by trade an information broker and has some intel about the New Republic that might be of use.
Information like what? What are you looking for?
Well, I can't spill all the beans to you, sweetie. I gotta make sure whoever gets it gets the full deal. But I have some insights into what the New Republic is cooking up for out here on Tatooine.
Cool. And he starts to put things together. You've laid out the trail for him, and he says, "There's someone who's working to reestablish some old deals. The Hutt who used to run this place, Jabba, he's been disposed of for a few years now, but there's someone, trust me, very suspicious of outsiders. When you trade me this that I can break down for parts, I give you a little less on the deal, but make introductions. I'm taking a shipment on my speeder truck later today. You come with me. I introduce you to Maloris."
I think that sounds like a deal.
He holds out his little Toydarian hand. He can strike a deal for...
and of course, this is sort of like slight glance to Tell over there.
Yeah, and I think Telrot, Wad, the Rhodian, he deals with you amiably, like surprisingly so compared to the other people in Mos Espa. You get the feeling that he's dealt with Tusken Raiders before. He gives you like this kind of hand. He's got the weird Rhodian hands with the suckers on the end of them, but he gives you a brief greeting gesture and says, "You are looking for work? We have work for one such as you."
And I think that I say I'm best as a guard or a... it would be best if I was used as a guard or as muscle. And let's pull some Star Wars into this. And I go, I think your new business partner needs a guard.
Ooh, I love it. Yeah, let's see how that goes.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, so I think
Dental.
that there's just a small chance of this going badly, but there's always a chance whenever you mess with this. I'm gonna say you have to use at least one dark side die to do this. You are controlling the minds of another. But I'm only rolling 2 pain against you.
Okay, so at present I have 3 discipline and 3 attachment, and in addition I'd roll 1 dark side die. Is that right?
Right.
Okay, so let me put these in. But I don't think I want to increase my attachment at this point.
Do you want to use a coin? And it doesn't seem that significant. Unless you want to.
I don't think so. The coin is an automatic success. Is that right?
The coin, actually, if you look under the coins of hope, you can use it for removing an attachment, removing a check from anger or fear, add 1 to your discipline pool. And then you can also recover or add points of discipline. So yeah, you could basically give yourself an extra die to roll, but it's a pretty high price to pay for.
Yeah, I don't think I want to do that right now. So I'm going to roll my discipline and attachments, and I'll roll the dark side last.
Okay.
Submit. And then let me roll a dark side die. Ooh.
Ooh.
I'm going to roll my 2d6 red dice. Here we go. I got 1 success.
Dark side is kind of here.
Looks like dark side dominated the roll.
Yeah.
My. Oh, that's great. You got more than enough successes to pull it off with 3 successes total. But as far as what dominated the pools, that lonely dark side die, you need to check off one of the responses here as you reach in and grab Wad's mind and control it. So how do you think this affects you? Or how do you think that the dark side colors this result?
Whenever I reach into Wad's mind, I find that his pleasant demeanor towards me is all a sham. That typically he hires guards to go out and slaughter Tuskens. Whenever there are, what's the right word? Caravans to be made across the desert. So, I sense this almost form of justice or this form of irony where Wad said, Wad is thinking, it's ironic that I'm sending out a guard when normally this is what I send guards out to prevent. Right? And I think that makes me angry. So I'm going to check off the anger box.
Nice. So if the response is anger, the protagonist must react to the results of the action, regardless of success or failure, with consuming rage. Anything from lashing out unthinkingly at friend and foe alike, frothily throwing themselves at an opponent no matter the odds, or smashing otherwise useful resources into useless bits and pieces. So let's get a little dramatic here. What goes on?
Yeah, so I think whenever this happens, I immediately stand up. I think that, if you don't mind me saying so, I think Wald says, certainly you can be a guard.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And that works out. And that's whenever I stand up and I go get right in Watto's face. And I say, he said I can work here with this job. And then I turn around to Merida and I get in her face. And I'm like, I will be your bodyguard for this and you'll like it. And then I turn back to Watto and I'm like, and, you shouldn't dismiss me or my people as easily as you have whenever I first came in here. Is that good? You want me to escalate this more?
Escalate just like a teeny bit more, like something gets broken or somebody gets shoved, and then I think we're good.
So in the fiction, have we established Merida is getting information from Watto about that, but we're not necessarily taking anything there. Is that right?
I don't think you guys were taking it. You're actually going to end up with some credits on your side because Merida's going to get a little bit of money, but you're not currently buying anything or taking anything.
Yeah, I was just trying to think of what I could break around here.
Yeah, no, sorry.
Yeah. No, it's fine. I think that.
What if you pushed Watto a little bit to show him your muscle?
Oh, I know what it is. Whenever I stand up from Wald, you said he was cleaning something off. Mm-hmm. I take it from him. Right? I just pull it out of his hands, and I walk over to Watto and I say, "You shouldn't be so judgmental about me and mine whenever we come in your shop," and I tear it apart in front of him. And then
nasty.
And drop the pieces into the sand.
Okay. Yeah, there we go. And Watto, he says nothing there as he just looks at that, and the amount of strength you showed from that is quite intimidating. This is going to be an interesting trip.
And Merida looks taken aback, part to play, the role of the worried customer, but also like the worried master.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe coming back to Tatooine was not the best decision.
Maybe not.
So
we'll do a star wipe.
With Darkseid dominating. With Darkseid dominating, that drives my Darkseid pull up one. Is that right?
It does not, actually. That's the cool thing about Darkseid, is that the only time that your Darkseid goes up is when you when Darkseid dominates a roll and you've run out of responses, then it will go up by 1. So you have a good amount of safety net at this point.
Okay.
You can, if you wish, later at any point, spend one of those 3 coins of hope to remove that checkbox, and we've got one for Merida as well. So there's that constant risk, but it's not like immediate snap and you get Darkseid. The creep, I'm doing a two shot. This could be, 4 or 5 sessions before somebody's really going to get some Darkseid points to where they're in a lot of genuine danger unless you push rolls like crazy. So, sorry, we do a star wipe and we pick up with this what is the thing? Jeepney. A jeepney, in the Philippines. You ever seen those? They're okay. Maybe it's known by another term, but in the Philippines, there are these particular types of vehicles that they ferry people around in, and they have a particular look. Doesn't matter. So imagine that there's a speeder truck where there are things hanging from every other place, things lashed to the side. Remember that net? Along the side of the speeder bike that Ray has where she would store things. Yep. This is that, right? This is the junk mobile, effectively. Imagine somebody with a camper that is 50 years old, but it still runs, and you just load stuff in it. That is what you guys are in. Watto is driving. Wad does not deal with Maloris, so Wad stays back at the shop. But this is a thing where Watto feels like he's cutting big deals, and he gets excited by this stuff. So he's up front with the speeder with one of those bubble visors that's pitted and got a crack along the side. At any point, it could snap and cut him in half, but he can't. He's not going to replace it because that's too expensive. Maybe he'll stick some tape on it later, but he hasn't gotten to it yet. And the two of you. I'm curious, Telrod, where are you positioned on, you can stand on top of this thing if you really wanted to, up on top where they've got, lashed down soft things, or you can be inside or in the passenger side. Where do you imagine that Telrod stationed himself?
So you described it a little bit like a truck. Is there a bed?
Yeah. There's imagine a truck. It's I'm imagining speeder truck that also has a camper on top of it type deal, and then they put a bunch of crap on top of the camper.
Yeah, so I think I'm standing in the back of the truck obviously visible, just to make sure everyone sees there's a guard here. And kind of playing my part as, I'm the guard. And I might even have like a big junk staff. It's not the typical, gaffy stick or anything like that, but
Mhm.
I've got a big pipe or something like that I'm holding. Yeah.
Cool.
Uh,
What about
Merida,
Merida?
yeah, Merida's probably kind of huddled up. She has like a cloak and like wrap hood for dust and things for sand. And I think along the way she'll attempt to like find out what got into her Padawan in the store, right? Because it seemed like a little bit unnormal. So she would be inquiring, what's going on with Tal. Is it something about being back in Tatooine? Is it something in the Force?
And you're asking this, but don't we have someone else in the truck with us?
You have Watto, who
Uh-huh.
is up front driving. It's very easy for you
I
guys.
thought
to
we
find a
were in
place
the
to have a
back.
conversation.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we're in the back.
Yeah.
So I think in that case I say, I was just playing a part, and maybe it got away from me a little bit. I don't like dealing with these people. There's so much judgment and greed associated with them. It makes me uncomfortable.
I understand.
Mhm.
We all have things from our past that we're trying to deal with, every day, and just one step at a time. All right. Hopefully, we won't be too much longer on Tatooine, and we can return with our objective accomplished.
Okay.
So as you two are finishing up your conversation, just to check in, are you guys spinning a coin of hope to do anything, or that was just a good conversation? I don't need it to be mechanical. I just wanted to ask.
Yeah, I think Merida's just checking in, but she's also realizing that there's something not completely right with herself, so she doesn't want to come across as a hypocrite.
Mm-hmm.
So she's just sort of like checking in.
Wait a second, you are a Jedi, so if you want to come across as a hypocrite, we have canon that says it's okay.
You're right, but she's I think she's starting to realize that there's some ruffled emotions and feelings and thoughts going on in her own life right now with Hela. So, and I don't remember if she's stated explicitly that she plans to kill Hela's new master to save Hela.
I don't know how public you've been about so you've mentioned Hela. I don't know that you've been explicit about contacting and sensing that master.
Okay.
I don't remember from last session if you had mentioned that.
I should have rewatched that. So I feel like while maybe if this is okay, like when they had gone back and gotten the APC, that maybe would have mentioned that Hela seems to be under the power of a dark master now.
And do you think that this is what we've been sent here for? Is this what Master Nova sent us?
Well, it has to be.
That makes the most sense.
And if we're able to destroy this evil presence, we'll be doing something right in the galaxy. It's totally not about my feelings towards Hela. Totally not. So if we can bring this Dark Master to justice for the good of the galaxy, I think we should try. Are we not Jedi? Are we not here to help people?
We are here to help those who need it. Right. What was Nova's mission? Was it to remove this dark force that was coming, or was it just?
I think it's intelligence gathering.
Okay.
I sensed a dark presence on Tatooine
Like-
because of Telrod's history and you're the knight for it. I think you two are the best to go see what's happened and
so
take
like
care of it.
I
we
see.
have enough information to like find a ship to go back, or maybe even just to radio home like,
Sure.
Hey.
There you go.
hey, Jedi Master, did you commission a Dark Lord to take over the Hutt Empire on Tatooine?
Yeah, that's a hard no. Yeah, no, it didn't do that. No. Surprised you'd ask.
But you know, we're young and we need to take initiative here.
See,
But yeah, if Tell totally thinks of like, oh, okay, we've completed the mission. We want to convince Merida to like, okay, good, we can go home. I'm cool with whatever.
oh no, I was just refreshing Steven's memory of
Sure,
you know what we were doing here, and I think Tell is completely on board with with Murda saying we should go see what we can do to help these people. Absolutely, we should. That's completely true.
And we obviously there's gangster elements popping up, and we need to like Merida's probably going to use some sort of analogy, some basic analogy. Looks like the roots of corruption are growing back, and we need to take care of that. Because the New Republic will come out here, and it will help these people. I believe that. So I feel like there's like a cutscene maybe of us arriving outside Jabba's.
Oh, not quite. No.
Okay.
No,
Something
not
else
quite.
is going to happen.
Yeah, there's totally something. I was just making. I didn't want to interrupt the scene because
No, it's fine. I wasn't sure
if
if you returned to Wikipedia.
No, I'm not lost. I was waiting. I'm like, are they done? No, I don't want to cut them off. Cut scene. Awesome. So scene cut. And you guys have your conversation. Oh yes, I'm definitely. This is a thing that we should do. And then tell Rot, hey, remember that thing where you said you would be a really good bodyguard here for Watto?
Uh-huh.
You weren't entirely wrong, because as you and Merida are talking, you see up on a ridge, like an old, completely deforested, desert mountain ridge. You see the glint of metal. And when you look up, you see, technically, here, I'll just screen share. You see these guys. They are in standard Tusken Raider style. They are the Overwatchers for whatever is to come. And yeah, you see that there are a few Bantha riders who are hiding on the other side of a dune and have just moved into action to start their steeds lurching forward to get in Watto's way. What do you do?
So I think the first thing I do is I hop up and I kind of pound on the top of the truck to get everyone's attention. Something's going down. And then I'm going to pull out my laser blaster. And I think this is one of the repurposed blasters from the troopers.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I don't have the not typical long Tusken, sniper rifle looking thing. I've got one of the short snub nose blasters. And I think I'm going to, start laying down fire over the snipers, not trying to hit them, but trying to obscure their vision.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And depend on Watto and Merida to avoid the riders. So I'm going to try and lay down covering fire. Yeah.
Great. I'm not going to require any dark side for this at all, because you're just shooting a blaster. That seems like a good idea, except they were probably going to want to shoot back. So I think there are 3 pain coming your way. We'll see if you're able to cow them and alert your friends.
I see Merida is like trying to gently nudge through the force the Banthas to like they smell something else in a different direction. like to lure them off so that the riders have a more difficult time pursuing and shooting it.
Nice. If you want to use that, remember we talked a little bit about helping.
Mhm.
So if you want, we can allow that to be effectively your help on
Sure.
Telrot trying to drive off the
Yeah.
Tusken Raiders. So what you'll do is you roll your discipline dice as a secondary contribution to the conflict. They can add successes to the main protagonist's degree, but don't participate in the determination of strength.
Cool. All right. Let's see. Oh my gosh.
Wow, those are useless. So you reach out through the force to the alien minds of the Bantha, telling them about a smell, to which you hear, "Oh yes, that's very interesting. Thank you for the information."
So I'm going to roll, and at the beginning of my roll, I have a choice to increase my attachments.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm not mistaken, I have a ton of attachments towards Tuskens and Tatooine and the
Yeah.
new Jedi Order to make sure we succeed and all that kind of stuff. So I'm
They're
going to
all
increase my attachment to
pretty good.
4.
Oh wow! And you're using the major attachments you use here?
Oh yeah.
Do that.
Then
Totally
and
do that.
Yeah, I think that's right. So remind me of how that mechanic works. If I'm not mistaken, I don't increase the dice that I roll immediately. I just roll
Right.
my normal 3 and 3 and get 1 automatic.
No, it's even better than that. So you roll your 3 and 3 as stated. So your attachments of 3, your discipline of 3. The major use means that after this roll, your attachments will go up to 4 regardless of how this goes. But you're using the major, so the amount of attachments are extra successes. So no matter what you roll, you're going to have 3 successes, and you're rolling 6 dice, but your attachment goes up to 4 for that.
Okay,
Which
so
I think is
that's
dramatically perfectly appropriate.
yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing. So let me submit. And I only got 2 successes on the dice.
And
But
I
if
got
I-
2 successes as well.
But if I could automatically get 3 from doing a major,
Yep.
Yep.
And you
So-
succeed with gangbusters.
right?
Yeah.
And then we need to see what dominated.
Yeah. Which was the pips your discipline, or was the number your discipline?
The number was my discipline. The pips were my attachments.
Oh God.
Very cool.
That means your attachments goes up effectively by 2. Right?
So up to 5.
Yeah, you
5.
go up to 5,
Wow.
which is really, really close to being overburdened, which is perfect because they're your people, right? Mission, all that cool stuff. So you fire a blaster up, and the Tuskens are blinded. There's like some rocks that fall down. They realize they've been seen. The Banthas ignore Merida's attempt to influence them, and Telrot, you realize as you're reaching out with your feelings that you didn't recognize those who were up there because they're not of your people. But then you see on the lead Bantha is Kurta. And that either your tribe has gained new members, or these are some of the younglings who've aged over the years that you were at the temple. But you see that this tribe is here, and they want Watto to stop. You can, with your success, easily direct Watto to end around and keep moving if you want. But you get the feeling that they want you, that Kirtai is here because you are here.
So yeah, I think at this point, I've prevented the snipers from being able to pick us off. But I think whenever I recognize Kirta, I pound on the top of the truck that we have and say, stop, and stand up.
Did you see the Banthas?
I stand up and I start waving in front of the Banthas, on my own. So I get out of the truck and go stand in front of the Banthas, off to the side, waving at them to parlay.
Nice. And just because I really like this picture, I'll quickly show this is kind of what you see, except Kertai is on top of one of the banthas as well. But they're in single file, right? To hide their numbers, but there's a number of them. And Watto is like, okay, this guy's really mean. And he's dressed like a Tusken Raider. This seems like a setup. Merida, how are you convincing Watto to...
Merida is paying attention with part of, watching what's happening here, but also like she's gonna like hide behind the strong male to kind of get his ego more poised on her.
Okay.
Like, oh, protect me from the like sand people. But she's also really trying to figure out what's going to happen out here. She's concerned about her Padawan, who has a connection to what's going on here.
Nice.
But yeah, she's definitely going to be like stroking Watto's ego, like, oh, what are they going to do?
And I think before I step out in front of the banthas, I'll tell Watto, you can leave if you must. I must talk to these. They will not hurt you while I am still alive.
Ooh, yeah. So it's Watto. I think Watto will stop the speeder truck, if anything, because he's worried that they'll chase after him. But he'll stop the speeder truck a good distance away from the Banthas and the Tusken Raider tribe. He'll say, yeah, I'll wait here.
And I think we see Tel approach Kurta and stop in front of the Banthas, and they start speaking in that gesture language that we see in The Mandalorian.
Nice. I dig it. I really dig it. Right, she will give you this warm greeting, which is about finding a desert spring that is untouched and a cactus filled with the milk.
And I return the greeting with may we share drink together and speak my hospitality is your hospitality, and we will share together the benefits of what we have. And then I think I will say there's a shadow upon the dunes, and this shadow has brought me back here, but you are a bright spot within this shadow. What are you doing out here? It is dangerous.
We are here because it is dangerous. I have seen you in the mirages on the horizon. I knew that you were coming back. This dark force that you rush to face is strong. It is a darkness on the desert that drinks in the sunlight and gives nothing. It only takes.
It is my new place to protect our people and those here that need it. My new teacher has come here, and we are being tested so that the darkness can be driven from this place.
She nods. I've seen that one of you will die.
Have you also seen that the darkness is driven from this place, or is it a death in vain?
The darkness will be driven away at a great cost. I think it is too great. You are a shining light for us in the galaxy. Our people are misunderstood and hated.
You speak truth, but this darkness would cause many more of our people to meet death. And this is the calling that has spoken to us. How can I be a representative of our people if I leave this darkness to fester? I think both me and my new teacher would gladly sacrifice ourselves for the elimination of this darkness.
Our people, we have not seen one such as this since the Great Massacre. Generations ago. You know the stories. The angry child.
Your words of wisdom have given us an advantage that we did not have before. I will speak of this to my teacher to share with them the deadly light that comes from the darkness and the story of the Great Massacre and the cost that will be paid. What would you have of me?
Will you show them your sword of light?
Will I show the Tuscans?
Your tribe.
I ask that they follow us yes. I ask that they I will show them my sword of light. I will show them and speak to them of the hope that exists in this new galaxy for us. I would ask that they allow this vehicle to pass, and that once it is gone, I will show them my elegant weapon, and then they will take me to the place where the darkness resides, so that I may help rid it of this place.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So I think I'll go back and I'll explain. Is that good?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. So I think I'll go back and I'll explain to Merida and Watto. I'll say, I've negotiated for our passage. I will stay behind. You will continue the voyage. I will catch up once the payment has been made. And urge Watto and Merida to leave without me.
So Merida will say, Ken is, still like this alienated stranger who didn't really want to take on this guard. You're a brave one, sand person. I'll give you that.
I will speak. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, if we don't see you in an hour, I guess we'll assume that the desert has consumed your corpse.
The desert is my home. Do not have such fears. I would speak with you alone. Yes, you will come with me.
And she's like,
I'll just stay here.
Looks at Watto like, oh no. And then moves off to the side.
Yeah, and I'll stand there and still have the imposing presence,
right,
but explain to you, my people have sensed the darkness. They've come to tell us that they have foretold one of us will die. and I briefly tell him the tactics used in the Great Massacre. They struck from the night. He struck from the night. The angry child struck from the night, and started with the guards and slew all those within the clan in the space of just a few breaths, and then disappeared back into the night. Yeah. Slew everyone in the village, including the men, the women, the children, the pets, our livestock. Everyone perished that night.
So, in these tales where everyone perished, how is this related to what we're going up against now?
They are linked in the vision. My former teacher that I've spoken to you of, spoken of to you, sees a relationship between the darkness we are seeking and the darkness of the Great Massacre.
Was this creature who performed this massacre, were they ever defeated?
They appeared one night, slew the entire village. We came upon the bodies and the scorch marks, and but we did not ever see them return. So it is unknown. It came about the same time as within a year or so span, there was a darkness that fell upon the galaxy, and things got much worse for us here on my home planet. So it was an evil foretelling of the darkness that was to come. I do not believe that the one who caused the Great Massacre was defeated here.
Is this possibly the same entity?
It's possible. However, Kirta did not say the same entity came that caused the Great Massacre, just that it was linked.
Curious. Do your people believe that this evil returns in cycles and is part of Tatooine, or can it be vanquished?
This is not something that my people had experienced before, which is why it is such a great tale. Everyone knows of it.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that with me. And you will be safe?
I will be safe here. I will join you, and there is dark foretelling of what will happen once we try to rid this place of the darkness that Nova Kalis has sent us to deal with.
Do your people have any way to transmit messages off-world?
Not directly. However, I can leave a message with my people, and they can transmit it off-world once they reach civilization. What message would you have me send?
Well, should we fail, it would be good to alert the Jedi Order what has transpired.
I see. So I'll figure out some encoded message to send back with my people.
Right.
It'll be something along the lines of, the garbage in the garden has been found. It is the abandoned apprentice, the abandoned child, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So like basically, if we don't come back and prevent the transmission, it'll go off, right? The assumption being that we're dead or indisposed somehow.
Right.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. May the force be with you, Tell. You truly will make a formidable Jedi Knight one day.
I say, it is important that one of us lives and this seems to have been foretold by my people. I pray that it be you, so that your light continues to shine within the universe. May the force be with you as well. And I think, though, at that point, because everything's at a distance, there'll be I think Tell will actually reach out and hand like some bits of metal or something like that, as if there's an exchange taking place.
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
cover this up for Watto and then leave.
Right. And I think Merida actually gives you like a data crystal to use for the encoded message.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Yeah. And like some credits, like payment.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Cool.
That's really cool.
Here's my Jedi will.
That's right. Good call. I feel like that might be a good point for us to take our midpoint bio break.
Sure.
It's 18 after, so, take like 7-10 minutes.
Okay.
And we'll see you guys in a bit.
All right.
I don't know if you saw on the Star Wars channel for the Slack, Stephen, but I dropped in a forum post from Fantasy Flight Games community forum. And it's like 250, 260 some pages long of just Star Wars art. And while there are entire pages that are just broken links from stuff from 4 years ago, the majority of it is just, I want to play that person. I want to fight that thing. I want to hug that person. This is amazing. It's so cool.
I haven't actually. I'm to be honest, I'm really bad with social media stuff. So keeping track of Discord and Slack and all that,
It's
all
a
the different
lot,
posts.
yeah.
I just, it's something that I don't do.
That's
But
probably a
thank
good
you.
call.
I greatly appreciate you pointing that out to me because that's super cool. That's very interesting. I'll have to go pull that up.
There, I
Oh,
just dropped it in the chat, so you don't have to even worry about going to Slack. You may lose days there, friend. It's like, wow. So, and I've seen maybe 10% of the art. Most of it is just like, I've never seen this picture before, and it's the most Star Wars thing ever. And it's so good. It's really cool.
wow. It's one of those things you kind of need a scraper for that can go through and just grab all the pictures and dump them into a directory.
So much. Yeah, like I went through earlier today while I was listening to the last session and just grabbed some of the pictures that I liked and dropped it into an Imgur file. And now my Imgur file is so overwhelmed with stuff, there's no way I can organize it. It's just like, why did I do this? Why have I done this to myself? Cool. You guys are back. So, just so I'm clear, Telrod is going off with the Tusken Raiders to kind of talk to them and show them his lightsaber. At the same time, Merida is continuing on with Watto towards what was Jabba's palace and is now taken over by someone calling himself Darth Maloris. And the hope is that Telrod can rejoin Merida before a confrontation takes place. Is that making sure I followed?
I think that's right. I didn't want to pull out. So basically, I didn't want to pull out the lightsaber in front of Watto and the rest of the, in that caravan
it totally
kind of
makes
thing.
sense. That makes
And
sense.
I think the agreement that I made is simply to speak to them briefly, and then what I'll do is try to catch up as quickly as possible. So I can either arrive right as they get, started with the negotiations, or I can arrive at the, appropriate story point whenever it makes sense. Yeah.
Cool. I dig it. So let's do that, because I don't think there's going to be much action happening with Merida and Watto. Although Watto may tell you stories. There's one kid who's a really good pod raiser.
So I think what this will look like is I'll stop, and as soon as the caravan gets out of the way, I'll lead the Tuskens over like to an outcropping.
Okay.
And I'll use it sort of as a natural place to give a speech. I'm not sure if Tuskens actually have spoken speech, so I'll use it as a natural point for the light to shine down upon me and use my hand gestures. And I'll speak to them in such a way as to tell them that hope is coming. Hope is the most powerful force in the universe, and that our people who have been misunderstood, and we must do what we can to make sure that people understand us without taking revenge upon them. Revenge will only exacerbate the bad reputation that the people have. And I think at the end of the speech is when I ignite the lightsaber, and I'm going to use it to draw a circle in the sand around me, and then put, let's say there's about a dozen of the Tuskens who are here, and put a dozen little, just stab the sand in a dozen little spots. And what this does is this solidifies the sand into little beads of glass. And I pick each of those up and hand them to them and say, this is the icon you will carry with you as hope for the rest of our people.
Oh man, that's awesome. So I think there's some pain here involved in their disbelief, their fear. and you assuaging those concerns with the ceremony that you've created. Because that ceremony is awesome, I will say, oh, thank you for clearing dice. We will say that it is merely a pain of 3. And we'll see how things pan out there.
And what is at stake here?
What's at stake is, I think if you are successful, then they will accept that there's hope, that they will ferry you forward so that you can rejoin Merida without any trouble. I think that if you are tremendously successful, and I know degrees of success isn't something that Don't Rest Your Head deals in, you either do it or you don't, but I could imagine that like if you're willing to commit, because you're already using attachments pretty heavily, but if you're willing to roll for this, then there's the possibility that they would rise up to help you against the forces of Darth Malors.
And likewise, if I roll very poorly, I might be all on my own to catch up with Merida.
Yes, or if you roll well, but your attachments goes up, then I have an idea of a thing that your attachments will cost you from your attachments.
So what happens if the attachments reaches 6? Is that a milestone kind of event?
If you go over the attachments of 6, in Don't Rest Your Head parlance, your exhaustion is so great that you succumb, you pass out, and you effectively are kind of quote unquote out of the game, potentially with one of the nightmares that's chasing you, killing you. My reskin is that the attachments that you have, but you become overwhelmed, consumed with those things. And while it doesn't drive you to the dark side, it either sends you to a sense of ennui, or those attachments become so important that one of them is lost to you before you can regain yourself and consider yourself, able to consider other things. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that does. So that makes sense as to what kind of is at risk here. So I'm going to roll my 3 discipline and my 5 attachment, and let's see how that looks. Let me change the color. Change to red.
Look at all those attachment successes. And your discipline's dominated. That's looking good. I better change the color on my dice.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to take
your No. It's all
it
right.
actually is weird. I saw your shared screen pop up with the dice before I saw it on my screen.
Okay, cool. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 successes. There's no way that I can beat you in successes at this point. It's really about if this discipline, if my pain dominates the roll. That's it. And nope, it doesn't. So this is an all-together win. So let's talk real quick about the result for when discipline dominates. So if discipline dominates, things stay under control. You have the option to remove a response check mark or decrease your attachments by 1, which fictionally doesn't mean that you care less about them. It just means that that burden is lessened by the success you've just had, if you think about it that way.
Yeah, so I think that my choices were to reduce my attachments by 1 or what? That you just said.
You can. So it's in the rules.
Yeah.
On.
There we go. I see it.
D8. You can remove that anger check mark.
Yeah.
You can reduce your attachments from 4 to 3.
From 5 to 4.
5 to 4. Sorry.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think fictionally what makes the most sense here is to reduce the attachments. And I think this is represented by, the little discs that I passed out. I feel like the little pieces of glass that were passed out. I think this means that I feel like hope is spreading among my people. So I do not have as close of an attachment that I fear for them, and I have to be personally involved in it.
Nice. So you give this speech, you create these glass kind of sculptures and hand them off to important and younger members of the tribe, and they turn to each other in amazement, right? You can read the body language. And one of them raises up their cool, what was it you called it again?
A gaffy stick?
Gaffy stick, right? And they do that. And they all run and mount up onto their bantha. And the wise woman will offer you a spot on her bantha, Kurta. However, also among them is a female who would offer you a spot. Who she is, we'll say that perhaps she's one that you had befriended before you had left. And she would offer you a spot as well. If
maybe a fellow disciple, right?
Nice.
Or a fellow, that Kirta also had taught. And I think I'll take a moment aside with her and say, I would ask that I ride with Kirta into this place. But if I am to perish in this place, I would like for you to carry me out and place me in the resting place of our people. It is a great burden I place upon you, and I am sorry for it, but I think it's an important one for my connection to the people.
I'm honored. And we'll say that this person, her name is Tamzat, and she's a follower of Kirta and a member of your tribe. And then Kirta will inform you that the tribe will fight at your side to help rid the desert of this darkness, of this blight, and clean out the place of the slug.
I think that your help would best be with those followers and making sure that the followers of the darkness do not interfere with my teacher and myself as we approach the source of the darkness. I fear for the tribe's safety if you're overt towards the source of the darkness. For if we may fall, I do not want the tribe to fall.
She accepts that and says, "Yes, we will bring you to your master," though I do not like that term. And then
I've been using the term teacher.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
So I will bring you to your teacher, and then we will make sure that you face the darkness with her, and that none of its minions stand against you. So we do another star wipe to Merida as you are waiting with Watto at, if you remember, the huge, like super thick metal door with the iris type deal. So as you guys are waiting, you see a bunch of banthas come up from the haze. And you recognize among the Tusken Raiders is Telrat. They're coming to join you. And I was like, well, great. This is going to be trouble.
And also, what I'll do is I'll tell what was her name again? The NPC. I'll tell Kirta that thank you for bringing me to this place. We will provide a signal, almost like a shining star, when it is time for you to come in. From now, stay out of sight and stay safe. And I'll slide off the bantha and then come running up to join the two of them.
Nice.
So you brought guests.
Oh, they brought me here to help protect you, and they are not going to stay.
Okay. This job is getting more expensive by the hour. If you expect me to cover them as well.
Oh, that's of course. I think there's going to be some negotiation here. Of course, they should be covered. Expensive is expensive. I mean, you should pay us for the rights to move through this area. Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
This is a terrible deal. It's getting worse by the minute.
All right.
Okay.
Let's
Now's
gain entry here.
the time for me to use a line. I'm going to lean over and get in Watto's face and say, "I've altered the deal. Pray don't alter it any further."
Another XP, which this game doesn't have, but I give it to you, the player. Love it. So, the two of you with Watto stand at that huge thick metal door, and then the thing pops out. Uchabotika. Uchabotika. Gabrutsingiwodo. Which of course is a basic Pidgeon.
Yeah, we wish to have an audience with your master to discuss some valuable information that would be worth their time.
Gotcha, Wodiginka. And then Watto says, they're with me. Ignore the wrappings. There's a long moment. And then the door starts to rise up. And as it does, you see that there are a number of Gamorreans that will come forward with their axes to escort you guys in. Do you allow them? Or do you bristle at being escorted?
I think a little bit of showmanship bristling.
Yeah, I think
this is unnecessary.
I think Tell does the same thing. I think Tell kind of bristles, and they actually want to take his weapon, so they take the blaster. And he's adamant on keeping that long pipe. I'm keeping this as kind of a show.
Oh, just let the sand person keep their scavenge stick. There's like 6 of you, one of him.
I mean, the Gamorrean, there's a little bit of slobbering around his tusks. He would be more than happy to show this stupid Tusken Raider what for, but evidently he's been told to escort you guys in, and you're not actually causing trouble. So you take the long walk, and you can see that there are these little half windows that let in shafts of light, and it's this long corridor. You guys remember Return of the Jedi, right? Totally get that. You come around, and there's music here, but it's not that lively style of music that Jabba liked. It's somber. It's morose. It's like dark symphonic stuff. It's very light. Not a whole lot of instruments, but there.
Is there like a symphonic tone, like?
Of course, yeah. And you see, seated not on a palanquin like Jabba the Hutt, but seated at a kind of throne, is none other than the person that's in APCs and places, Darth Malorus. And do I see? Yeah.
Okay.
I know you're asking next. Yes, you see. So I don't know if you. So it's like a big rounded area, right? And you can see that there are a number of Weequay Gamorreans, and as aforementioned bounty hunters. There's an IG or two here. Number of droids, like helper, servant droids, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Darth Malorus is there. He has his lightsaber in his left hand, not ignited, but just there, like literally, like out, right? My sword is out, kind of deal. Hela is there. She's dressed as you remember her, but there's something about her that seems darker, Merida, what is it that you notice about Hela Gisard that confirms to you this the dark side has touched her, if not claimed her?
Well, we already mentioned that she had the yellow eyes before.
Yep, we did, right. So that could totally be your answer.
So I think also she has like some Sith tattoos. Like in the picture, she has no tattoos on her arm.
Mm-hmm.
Like she has, like she's working her way down her arm with every mission completed or something.
Oh, nice. Those big, thick kind of tribal tattoo type things.
Yeah.
Nice.
And she's definitely carrying herself, differently. So yeah. So I'm still have that like kind of cloak head wrap thing on as like, a kind of a merchant look to me. And I think, Tell, are you like kind of at my side, or where are you in relationship to Merida?
I think I actually stand where a normal bodyguard would, to the side and a little bit ahead.
Okay.
So that, it's as if I'm going to take the hit from anyone who tries to come in and attack you. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, so I guess we're there, and we'll like do this sort of curt bow in respect of our guests here and say, honored Darth Maloris, thank you for receiving us. Mitch, I think you're muted.
And he ignores your greeting at first, turning to look at Watto, says, Toydarian. Look how low you've fallen to use a Tusken Raider. Who are you, girl? Do not lie to me.
I am a simple information broker who would like to make a deal.
And what is it you want?
And so I have information regarding the future of this place from the New Republic.
The New Republic doesn't want Tatooine. The Old Republic allowed the Hutts. They will allow me. Your threats are empty.
It's not a threat. I bring news. The New Republic does want you. And I'll unveil myself dramatically, pull out my lightsaber, ignite it, says, you're coming with us. One way or the other.
Nice. I love it. So,
and like when I pull off my cloak and throw it, my intent is to kind of like throw it on Watto to kind of like get him out of the way too. Like
he will definitely use that as an excuse to hide from the giant lightsaber battle, because that is not a thing he's here for.
Your days here are numbered.
You are beneath me, Jedi. Gisard, take care of this.
I think whenever Hela steps forward, that's whenever Tell takes the pipe that he's been, his staff, and he jams it onto the ground, making a loud strike, and that sets off the flare that's inside of it to go out the window to light everything up. Right,
that's the sign.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. I love it. That is fantastic. So we like cut to outside, and there are a bunch of banthas. They're just kind of stamping their giant hooves from side to side, and then this thing goes off, and of course the Tusken Raiders all look to each other, start hooting, and then the banthas start charging forward. We cut back inside, and Darth Maloris notices that he is like, this is just a pittance to him, but the bounty hunters, the Weequay, they have dealt, the Gamorreans, they have dealt with Tusken Raiders. They're getting a little antsy at this point, and some of them are starting to move over to look out some of the things and talking to each other. But Maloris is wholly focused on you, and you can feel him. Like, he has the lightsaber in his left hand, and with his right hand, he's just holding it in a fist, and you see Hela Jassard take a couple of steps forward, and she ignites her now red lightsaber. You should have left when I told you, Merida.
You're going home with me.
I'm sending home your dead body.
If you strike me down, I'll become more powerful than you can ever imagine.
Love it. That is awesome. So, she is going to fight you because she feels that she has no other choice. She has given herself enough to where she feels there is no redemption at this point. So, what you are looking at is we are seriously, significantly ramping up the pain here. You're facing a pain of 8.
Okay.
So how do you wish to build the pool that you will use to face?
Let's see. Let me take a look at my
Decide.
character.
So let me start out with, I think Telrot will wait for the dramatically appropriate time in the fight to then help with this.
Okay.
So I will,
Awesome.
I will roll my discipline.
Okay, that sounds fantastic.
To help
Yeah.
as you build your dice pool. Yeah.
Cool. All right. So is my attachment still just a 2?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
You haven't actually used it a whole lot. We haven't done many rolls for you actually.
This session, I
This
think
is
last
yeah.
session,
Last session I rolled a
you had
lot.
lowered
Last
it.
session was a bunch. That's true. That's
Yeah.
really
I want to say that last session I thought you lowered your attachment.
I did. I just couldn't remember what it was to. Okay. So I think I'm gonna do like what you would. I'm gonna do major use of
Mhm.
attachment. So I'll be rolling just 2 right now, right?
You roll 2,
Right.
and you get 2 automatic successes. Then after this, regardless of what dominates
Right.
you, your
You get
attachments
another
will roll by
attachment.
1. Yeah.
Yeah. So my character strategy is to remove her from this space, from the direct control observation of her master. So basically, there's that apocalypse move of separating characters. I want to move her out of here and somehow confine her away and then deal with her master separately.
Okay.
So let's see. Let me go to the thing there.
And as you're doing that, Stephen, I think we had not lowered your attachments from 5 to 4, right? So it should be 4, shouldn't it?
It should be. I've lowered it.
Okay. Now I see it.
Okay.
Okay.
Maybe I
shown
was
as
just
5.
still on the Maybe I was just still clicked on that cell.
And
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna use 3 dark side as well.
Love it.
Yeah, because of my fear of what's gonna happen if I don't do something here. So I'm
Sweet.
gonna first roll the discipline and the attachment,
Okay.
and I only got
2 successes, and discipline is dominating the roll right now.
So I'm going to roll my discipline before you roll your dark side, so you can get
Okay.
set up.
sure.
Okay. And you're adding 1 success to this, but that doesn't dominate, so.
Oh, cool. Thank you. And then let me roll a different color.
Okay.
If I can find it. Do not see it. All right, I'll just roll yellow. So 3 of those. And 1 success from dark side.
And from what I'm seeing, dark side currently dominates the roll.
Yeah.
Okay. So dark side currently dominates the roll. We have a total of 4 successes plus the major use of attachments, so a total of 6. So I'm just going to put in, we know it's 6.
Yeah.
Which we'll write that down. You're probably going to succeed.
We'll see.
We'll see how it goes. So she charges forward. She uses a two-handed, right? And all of her attacks are full strength all the time. You can tell she leaves openings, right? If she catches you with any of her strikes, it will detach a limb or possibly kill you. But she overextends herself with her fury, and it is very careless. You also get the feeling that she may be opening herself up to be defeated. So that is 2 successes. And I believe that pain dominates the roll, right? 6 and a 5. She had 2 pitiful successes. So it is a lot of fury. And yeah, I think you definitely helped out there, Telrod.
Yeah.
So
I got 1 6 and I got 2 6s and 2 5s, and you got 2 5s and 1
right, but we count each pool as a separate thing to see which pool dominates.
Sure.
And so your darkness die was a 6 and a 4, your darkness pool. And the pain was 6 and 5. So usually what happens when you roll pain is it almost always dominates, right? Because it's all one pool.
Yeah.
Just to talk mechanically for a brief moment. So yeah, pain will dominate the roll. Your goal was to separate her from Darth Malorus. You realize that she will not be separated from Darth Malorus as long as she can fight. So you must disable her. How is it that you do so? Do you slice off her limb?
So
a limb, both of her hands.
Does she have a two-handed or two-bladed lightsaber?
She has a two-handed saber.
Okay.
She uses it, so it's like a bastard sword kind of deal, right? But she just throws it on the pommel and uses that for all the force.
So here's what I think, like, she goes for like a strong strike, like you had said, and I think what I do is I just clip her under both wrists, so both hands if possible.
Nice. So that is the pain, is knowing that you've had to disfigure her, because she can get cybernetic hands, but she'll never be whole.
Right.
And you do that, and her red lightsaber clatters to the stone floor, her hands, the blood, and she drops to her knees, calling out in pain.
And I feel like because I didn't trigger the actual mechanic fear move, but I still feel like that's the area that I'm drawing on.
Sure.
So I feel like I would use like force push after I do that to knock her kind of head first into the wall, hoping to kind of knock her out too.
Get her out of the fight, knock her out. Yeah. You were successful enough that I think that totally makes sense to me.
Right. And then running like hell back to the chamber.
Sweet. So Telrod, like, just as a real quick color, you did help out. Like, what do you imagine this was? Did you reveal your lightsaber? Did you do some like incidental type of help?
No, I think this was full on revealing the lightsaber. I think that what this at some point Merida, was going all out. Or, I'm sorry, Hella Jassard was going all out, and we saw an opening, and she was going to strike true and cleave Merida like in half, and that's whenever the lightsaber blade came out and stopped, and then we both started the attack against her, kind of flanking on either side. So she had to deal with both of us, and then that opened it up to Merida taking her hands.
And I think there's a moment in that when she's fighting the two of you where her eyes get wide and she calls out for Darth Malorus to help her, and he just stays there in his throne.
And maybe that's like the pausing moment too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man.
And so you fling her aside using your abilities with the Force, and she hits hard, and we hear the sound of blaster bolts and explosions
Do we hear like
outside.
bantha roaring or something?
Bantha roaring and Tusken Raiders calling, and the number of the bounty hunters, like Malorus just gestures for them to like go take care of this whatever Tusken Raider tribe BS stuff. I've got important stuff going on here. And he finally stands up. The room has been nearly vacated. Yes?
Have totally, I don't know if, okay, I'm just going to say it.
Yeah, say it.
Jabba used to have a trap door.
He does.
I would like to activate it when he stands on top of it.
Sweet. That is a thing that I think we'll give you a little bit. We'll say it's 3 pain to see if you pull off this sneaky trick without getting caught. That is hilarious. You could just stand over him and say, "All too easy."
Yeah. Not impressive. All right.
Sweet.
All right.
Let's have you quickly build that pool. Again, you have no dark side that you have to use. You do have to roll. Your attachment should be 3 now.
Yeah, 3 and 3. I think.
Okay, so you're 3 and 3.
We'll just see how this goes. I'm not expecting it to work, but I just feel like it's right there. All right.
And he steps forward onto the lattice work. You do 1, 2, 3. Is that 3 successes? And
yeah.
Which one did we determine? The numbers is attachments or numbers is just planar connection?
I think the numbers are attachment.
Okay. So attachments is currently dominating.
Yeah.
2 successes against 3 successes. And attachments dominates the role. Your desire to your knowledge of the history and everything wins out, and you quickly like twist with a little bit of the force, and it zips out from under him, and he falls down to the ground, and we hear the "ah!" and it's he slams into the ground. But attachments do dominate the role. So, what do you think? Like, how does that influence? Like, how does that cause your attachments to go up? What do you think?
Yeah, let me take a look here. Let's see here. Okay. Oh gosh, I mean, I feel like I am now back on track as a member of this new Jedi Order. Like this is the rightful place of the Sith. Being imprisoned. So maybe, I don't know if it's like arrogance or pride or whatever, but I'm feeling like that. Like I almost like can see Merida not like spewing gloat text, but like looking from him like, you thought you were so smart.
That
like
is
looking down, because remember how Morlaris just said, like, we'll see if, what did he say, like looking down on you or whatever? And I'm just going to repeat that line back at him.
nice, cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, you look down. He stands back up, holding his lightsaber in his hand. Then he finally ignites it and leaps up into the air. He's angry now.
Good.
His attack, though, is much more refined and skillful than the attacks of his pupil, for lack of a better term. And he comes forward, and what he does is he feints. So at first he comes up angrily, like up in the air, comes down with the lightsaber. When you reach up to block, he lets the lightsaber just kind of skid along your blade, and it's like he's trying to slice off the top of your hands, and you have to quickly move back, and then you realize it's on. And he actually, with his right hand, he has the lightsaber, and he reaches up with the left and points to you, Telrod, and just gestures like, "I'm going to kill both you mofos."
Awesome.
So, friends, you probably want to work together here because he is 11 pain.
All right. So I feel like I'm gonna be the in terms of the fiction, I'm gonna be the primary attacker, I think.
Mhm.
And I want to continue to do things that will like get him to lose more and more control. Like throwing in like, look what you obviously aren't a very good master. Your first pupil failed in her first test against an attacker.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like just like every kind of psychological attack I can to lure him into a space where he's not able to be as effective, whether that's in the stairway or whatever. And then I feel like Tell would be like, just as always, helpful in finding opportunities to either work defensively or to maybe throw him off guard or something.
We'll let Steven say how.
Yeah,
how
whatever. Yeah. What do you think, Steven?
Yeah, I agree. So I think that you should be the primary. I will help, so I will roll my discipline with
Okay.
that. If we're going all out, let me see.
I'm going to do a major use of my attachment again.
All right, good call.
I think this is important enough. How about if I spend a coin of hope to increase my discipline, therefore it helps you?
All right,
Yeah.
nice. So you'll add one to your discipline pool for this roll.
And I think I might use a coin too if you think that's prudent. What do you think, Steven?
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. What would you do with it?
I'd spend it to get, let me see. Check it. Anger.
You could add one to your discipline pool as well for the roll. You're rolling 4 dice. You're rolling 4 dice.
So yeah, I think
this isn't permanent though. You have to actually spend a whole lot more. 5 minus your discipline coins of hope to recover a point of discipline, like to recover it fully. This is just basically you're giving yourself an extra die to roll.
Yeah. Well, actually, if I remove a check from my anger,
then you can use anger as a response later if the dark side dice dominate the roll.
Okay. I think
right now you would not increase your dark side if it dominated. You just have to use a fear response.
Okay. I think what I'll do is add to my discipline.
I think that's
so I have a 4 and 4, and then
right.
And what is our maximum dark side pool?
6.
Okay, I'm gonna do 4, 4, 4.
Oh, nice. That's great.
So may I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
How about if you actually spend 2 coins of hope?
Okay.
That would be 5 minus your discipline is 2. That would permanently increase your discipline by 1, so it'd be the same, right?
Yeah.
Is that right, Rich?
Yes, it would permanently increase your discipline.
Okay.
I just wanted to. It's effectively the same dice. It's
right. It's just that one is permanent.
Yeah.
So I would be rolling 5, 4, 4, right?
4. I think it'd still be 4, 4, 4.
4, 4, 4. Okay.
Wait. Your attachments is only 3. That's what you roll. You're increasing it after the roll.
Oh
no, but
right.
my attachment went up by 1 after using that, or did it not? Am I behind?
After using what?
Okay. So I used my attachment for that.
I thought it went from 2 to 3.
Okay, I think you're right. All right.
Yeah.
So now I'm just at 3 attachment.
Mm-hmm.
What is my discipline? 3 plus.
It's now gone up to 4 because you spent 2 coins of hope.
All right. So 4, 3, and 4.
Right.
Okay.
So let me roll my help first.
Okay, go for it.
And you're effectively rolling 4 dice. That's pretty helpful. That's 2 1s, so that's great.
Awesome. Okay, so my number will be my discipline, and my pips will be my attachment.
Okay.
And they're going to be yellow. Okay, 1 attachment. I only got 2 successes there. And then I'm going to roll 4.
Looks like right now your attachments are dominating the roll.
Yeah, and I'm going to change this to, let's do orange for my dark side.
And you have 3 more successes on top of this because of your major.
So my dark side's got 2 6s.
Oh man, this is gonna be good. This is gonna be good. I think you're down. So let's see. 11 dice going out. There's chances of more than 2 6s. So we will see how this goes. I'm gonna move all these down because they will
awesome. Thank you.
Everything up. Right now we know that darkness 2 6s is dominating the roll 6 6 3. And here comes 11 dice. So you are incredibly skillful. Telrot with 2 successes in there. You have a total right now of 9 successes because of the 3 from attachments.
Yeah.
You guys working together are incredible. Darth Malorus is it's not, yeah, this is not going to go well for him. All right, here we go. Oh,
Yes!
the pain, and I have no coins of despair to help me, so the pain will dominate instead of madness. I was really hoping for a madness dominate. 1, 2, 3, 4 successes. You definitely outstripped his pain. How is it that you bring the brief rule of Darth Malorus to an end?
I think it's got to be classic Star Wars decapitation.
Yeah.
Like we don't see it, but we see the head roll, and yeah.
Yeah, I think we hear that dark symphonic music kind of picks up to a little bit more of a fever pitch. We see the light of your sabers all bouncing off the walls.
I feel like when in between like the insults that I'm hurling, his failure, he's a pathetic wannabe criminal, all these things, like you haven't even changed, like you still have the same low class thugs working for you that Jabba did. But I also feel like because of the dark side flowing through me, I'm feeling the disappointment, those negative feelings too, like I could have been like, hello over there too. So I'm like really at odds internally over what's happening here, but I'm just like thinking also like I'm going to protect Tell from this ever happening to him. He's never going to turn to the dark side.
Wow. That is ugly. And so the two of you get to him, you realize that your power over the Force is greater than his, and then you working together are able to defeat him. We see the strike, but we cut away before we actually see the decapitation. Maybe we hear the little audio effects of the sound of the head rolling for a moment, and then we see like you, but behind you see he like falls to his knees and then to the floor, and the lightsaber extinguishes. You still hear the sound of battle outside as the forces here that Malorus had gathered are trying to expel the Tusken Raiders who are invading. Like they are coming through windows and not trying for the door, right? They're being ingenious and crafty and
so I think
which way.
I think unless it's obvious, because I don't know if anyone has relayed news that their master has perished, Merida would pick up the head and go out and make a show of it to his former employees.
Actually,
no more. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, can we do something a little bit different?
Totally.
Instead of picking up the head, that's a little gruesome. How about you pick up the body?
Yeah.
And then dump the body so we see this body tumble out.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, they like hear the noise and then they maybe hear the door slam open and then the body and word probably travels through the ranks.
I think, like, to me, there's a part of me that like that conventional GM, like, oh well, we should roll dice for this, but you just defeated their major bad guy, so if you're okay with it, I think like you do that, and that's enough to break these guys. They're gonna just cut and run at this point. They see that, they realize, oh, the guy who's paying us isn't here anymore. And they're just gonna diddy him out, and some of them are gonna get shot in the back because Tusken Raiders, they don't play. So it's gonna be brutal, but a number of them are just gonna take off. Most of the Gamorreans are gonna fight until the bitter end because this is what they live for. They just want some stories and some songs sung about them, but the Weequay are like, bump this noise, I'm out. And the IG-88s they already had a plan. Like they knew exactly what trajectory to get the heck out of Dodge. So they cut and run, and it's just mostly a mop up at this point. You know that the fallen Jedi, Hela, is there, unconscious, heavily wounded.
Yeah,
And you,
Meredith's going to go over to her and bind her wounds. And I feel like if we, unless Steven or Rich, you want to do something here, like a cut scene to them, like getting like on a ship, like getting ready to take off makes sense.
So
But fine.
I think on screen we see Tell, lean over where the Sith lightsaber was.
Yeah.
He picks it up and he kind of tucks it away so no one else gets a hold of it, and then goes over to with Murda, and we look and try and bind Hela's wounds, and then I'll pick Hela up and throw her over my shoulder, and we'll head out.
nice.
And we wipe it.
In the background, like a little business, Watto's going through like this little coffer of credits and like shoveling it into a bag.
Yeah.
And then he like sneaks off because he's totally gonna pull some profit out of this. So you come out carrying, Telrod, you're carrying the body of Hela Jassard with your master moving in front of you. Merida, the Tusken Raiders like you're parting the sea, and they just span, they fan out and give you a wide berth. And a number of them are looking at you like, are you going to eat her? But they don't ask that because,
So if you don't mind, I think after they part and we reach the end of this, like almost a gauntlet of Tuskens, we reach the end and I say, follow my lead just for a moment. And I pull out my lightsaber and I ignite it. And if Murda's okay with it, I think she pulls out her lightsaber and we kind of cross them in the air. And a cheer goes up from the Tuskens and then we can leave. Yeah.
Nice. And I think Kirtai is there and she genuflects and she would sign, my visions were wrong. I am glad for it. So we jump ahead to you guys getting on, securing passage, and maybe Mos Eisley, because you really don't want to go back to Mos Eisley. They have it out for you there.
Actually, okay. So Steven, let me ask you, what do you think that that Tell would do next?
Tell would probably go back to the Tuskens and ask for the data crystal, right?
Sure.
And then I think the two of us could. I think Tell would honestly follow your lead, whether or not it's transmit a message or go back and find, and get passage on a ship.
Okay. So I think at some point you, Merida would want to go back to the neighborhood where they were hiding and heal the family who had those marks, and basically at some point soon thereafter say to Tell, the Jedi Order is meant to do great things, but it has come to my belief that we need to be there for the people. And this is not an order. I'm giving you permission to do as you will. But I'm going to remain here in Tatooine and help them to prevent something from like this happening again and again and again.
What do you wish to happen to Hela?
I think that she should be returned to the Order. And I would be honored if you were willing to do that for me.
I will do that, and I will return here after I am done with word from Nova Kalos to continue my apprenticeship. And there is many things here on this planet that need to be righted. And I think that we can do well to accomplish this together until Master Kalos decides we have more important tasks.
And there's something that was said earlier that I believe in it as a truth, that the Republic before did not care for this world. And whether or not we establish a formal temple here, I believe that we need to foster a stronger spirit of goodwill and peace in this part of the galaxy.
I will take your words back to Master Kalos.
Thank you. May the force be with you.
Oh, that's cool. I really like that. Let's do a couple of quick epilogues. I know it's not the full time, but it really feels like our story is at an end, and I'd like to see our epilogues. So let's lead off with the pupil. What is your epilogue for Telrod?
So I see kind of almost a montage. Telrot is by himself, is on a ship heading back, and he's put more layers on because it's very cold on the ship again. And I think Hela is there with wrist restraints on. And we see the restraints, but the rest of the hands are kind of covered, with a cloth. And then we see Telrat standing in front of Nova Kalos and, saying words that we can't really hear and gesturing towards Hela. And maybe Hela is on her knees in front of Kalos. And I think Kalos walks over and, we see this kind of a nod and walks over and kind of escorts Hela off screen. And then we see, I think we see Telrot back on Tatooine. And there's this conversation. I think what's happening is there's sort of like a soup kitchen. And we see Telrot and Merida kind of working together to make sure that people get more of what they need. But I think that outside of, they get food and they get fed, and that there's kind of almost a, what's the right word? There's charity that suddenly in a place where there wasn't any before, giving of stuff freely to help others. And I think Telrot, after that, you see him leave this soup kitchen kind of place and step out, and there's more Tuskens on the street than you would ever see before. And you see as they walk around, you'll see from time to time in passing, one of them will see another Tusken and they'll flash like a little disc of glass at each other, and then nod and then move on. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, that's really, really cool.
That was very similar to some ideas I had. So like Jabba's palace, if you look at Wikipedia, used to be like a monastery, right, Rich? Have you looked that up? Yeah. So like he's gonna turn Jabba's palace into like this, like a house for the downtrodden, for the sick, and he's gonna, he's fine with those monks being here and whatnot, as long as they don't kidnap anyone and send them onto a higher living without their permission. But yeah, he's gonna make it open the resources available and use it as like a trade hub for those in need. And you probably see, like, as this kind of montage, you probably see like one of the rooms it's like a training room for young Jedi. And there's like a Jedi standing in there, like teaching and whatnot. But outside you see people interacting, not like hiding and, this is my resource, but interacting and people having a slightly better life than what they had before. And she looks older. She's got gray in her hair, and she's, her skin's darkened from being in the sun a lot more. And she seems to be, got some scars and things on her, but she seems to be pretty content with her life and the work that she's doing here, even though she's not gallivanting around the galaxy on crazy adventures right now.
If you don't mind, can I add something to that?
Yeah, totally.
So I think that, whenever you get the special edition, Blu-ray and you pause it, right, you can see that the Jedi that was there training students in Jabba's ex-palace, it was actually in one of the first scenes, like sitting down next to Nova Kalos while we were getting our mission and all that kind of stuff. It was one of the other Jedis there. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
That is really cool.
Yep. And there's at least one little one young Tusken Raider in there too, of course.
Of course. Yeah, you gotta have a Tusken Raider. That is cool. So that will bring our 2-shot of Don't Rest Your Saber to an end. It was nowhere near as tragic as I thought it was going to end up being, which was pretty cool.
That fight was over quick.
Yeah, that's the thing about Don't Rest Your Head.
Oh my gosh!
that I've learned in the times of
Like,
running it. straight up.
and I don't know if for like a game set in like space opera, if you know, like in Dogs, where you say like, okay, I put these dice down, I do this thing. If it would make sense to say, oh, I got a 4-2 or whatever here, that's what this looks like. If you wanted to prolong a conflict like that. I don't know that's needed, but yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah. Cool. That will bring us to a close for the 2-shot. And I think it's really interesting the setup, the idea of Jabba's palace becoming effectively a community center. Wow, saw that coming, and a Jedi training academy on Tatooine. Pretty wild. I like that a lot.
How do you think the system went?
I love the Don't Rest Your Head system. I feel like once we had a conversation about, okay, well, here's how we should adjudicate. Here's the fiction and the mechanics of dark side dice. Like from that point forward, I felt like everything ran pretty easily for me. How did you guys, like Steven, how did you feel about the system itself?
So often, when we're engaged in these things, I think about, I work to think about the fiction and what I'm going to do, and then see how the system engages. Whenever we engage the system, at some point I did something and I was like, okay, remind me how all this works. And it was like, what do I need to do? And what does it mean if pain dominates and all that kind of stuff? I had to go look some things up. And I was like, okay, I really liked the way, so the system definitely drove the fiction regarding disciplines and attachments and dark side die. And then what was dominating also drove the fiction towards what the consequences were. So, for example, whenever I rolled and my attachments would up a great deal, I could engage the fiction more and say, okay, that's where there's more of the my ties into this, this my home world and that kind of stuff came from. But then whenever pain or attachments dominated, I could say this is where that was coming from fictionally. So I thought it went well. I also looked at the math. You rolled in the last scene, you rolled 11 die, and I added our die up, and we had 4 more die than you, but the swing between success and failure was much more random than that. I think you had like 4 or 5 successes to R9, and 4 die don't make up that difference. It seemed to be swingy in that regard.
It is shockingly swinging. Now, remember that 3 of the 9 dice were from the attachment thing, so that's a big factor. But yeah, it's those little bits of the attachment use change the math on this to where in Don't Rest Your Head, the way I envision it is basically you can win nearly any conflict that you go into. It's just how much or what are you willing to put at risk to do that, right? It's constant gamble. That's what the game is like from my experience with Don't Rest Your Head, and I was hoping to get that with Don't Rest Your Saber as well.
Another thing as far as system, I would say, is the responses that we have is 3 the normal amount that we have that you have in Don't Rest Your Head.
Yep.
I'd almost say for a 1-shot or a 2-shot, reduce that to make
That's
that
not a
pressure
bad
more.
idea. So that your dark side will go. Like I can almost see 1 response in a 1-shot. Just like 1 response, you get 1 tick, and the next time dark side is going to take over. And that's a really good suggestion.
And I think that's exactly what we see here. At the end of our game, we each had 1 tick, and that would have really amped things up, knowing we don't have any other.
I agree for a 1 or 2 shot.
That's really good.
As I got more comfortable with the rules, it didn't feel like the dark side was going to be that big of a deal mechanically.
But if we had reduced the number of responses, then that would have changed it.
Yeah. I think I think I agree with Steven's responses on the system. I think once it started to gel, it worked really well, and how the fiction fed in from the different categories. Yeah, so I'm really pleased with what you have here, Rich, and I really enjoyed running through this with you and Steven. I had a great time.
Great. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. I'll go ahead and bring the stream to an end here.